All right, what's going on, everyone? We are back with Teletran Tapes, a monthly series where we break down the latest issues of Transformers from Image Comics. And today we are talking about issue 21. I am your main host today, Swizz Prime, joined along with Moonbase 3, Carl's Collection, and Delta Trion. And fellas, today I am very excited to talk about this issue. But before that, how are you guys doing today?
Pretty good. Good to be back talking about another issue so soon.
We got Transformers, so I'm always doing good.
Yep, no complaints as long as we got a new issue of Transformers to talk about.
That's very true. And this issue's, I really like this issue. And we are heading into the third installment of this really just action-packed volume. And the description for issue 21 is Autobots versus Decepticons, the face-off you demanded between Optimus Prime and spoiler is here. Spoiler, it's Megatron, if you guys can't tell. But before we dive into this issue, I want to go around and ask all of you guys, without really spoiling this issue, what would you say is the main takeaway of this issue without spoiling it?
I would say two things: action and movement. And I mean movement as in like pushing the story forward quickly. All in good ways is how I would kind of vaguely say it. A lot of action and a lot of let's get things rolling.
Yeah, it's a lot of like moving chess pieces around a little bit. There's some things that we kind of knew were coming, or we figured would be happening, are finally happening. So it's a little, I don't want to say predictable. There's things that just, in order for this 24 issue arc to come to a conclusion, there are certain things that needed to happen, and I feel like we got some of those things in this issue to kind of get us to that end point.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. It does feel very much like, as opposed to the last couple of issues, it feels like there's a bit more setup in this one. Although, paradoxically, there is kind of a lot that actually happens in this issue too. And I think maybe that's a consequence of, being so close to the end of Daniel Warren Johnson's run. But yeah, I mean, I think that Carl hit the nail right on the head. Like, it just feels a lot like moving the pieces into place for whatever that conclusion is going to be. And I think that Delta was right as well, and that this one is pretty jam-packed with quite a bit of action.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Well said. Now, obviously, for spoilers, click away and read this issue if you guys haven't already. But if you guys have, sit back, relax, have a beverage of sorts, and let's go ahead and dive in. So this picks up with, and I want you guys to just visualize this as I'm just staring at Moon and Carl here, because this is all just G.I. Joe stuff at the beginning, and I really don't know too much when it comes to that. But we do have Ultra Magnus and Doc, and yes, I remember who Doc is from last episode, and we have these two having a conversation with each other, and Magnus asking Doc what the Joes are planning to do. And I really do like how we have Doc reading the Bible, and how he says that it's something that makes him feel safe when he's in the face of things that are too big to comprehend, which, for example, Ultra Magnus as a huge robot is just there chained up. And we don't really know yet what they're planning to do, because with the next page, we do see General Flag, and I do want to ask Moon and Carl who General Flag is. But before I do, we do see him and this hazmat suit looking guy come in, and we kind of see just Doc asking General Flag, what are you guys doing? And General Flag just, it's above your pay grade, like, we're not going to tell you. And we just see our poor city commander just begging to not be whatever they're doing, which it looks a lot like they're just kind of just harvesting this guy's like energon or pieces off of him, kind of like what Shockwave did, but maybe not to the same extent. So I do want to know you guys' thoughts on this kind of back and forth at the beginning with Doc and Magnus, and also to what General Flag and the Joes plan to do with Ultra Magnus.
So to start off on General Flag, it's been a while since specifics about General Flag, but the best way to put him is he's like the strategist for the Joes. Like, he's kind of the commander. not really like the field commander, kind of like what you would see as Duke and Flint and those guys that are actually out on the field. And even like Hawk. Like Hawk is the commander of the kind of the soldiers, and then Flag is like kind of like the higher up. He might be like kind of like the guy based in Washington who is part of like the president's cabinet, who is overseeing GI Joe, which is a section of the military. So he'd be like the guy that would be like at the Pentagon, I guess, would be the best way to describe him. So he's clearly doing something. He has plans for Magnus, is what we see in this two page sequence. I do like that it's further. Last issue when we saw Doc talking to Magnus, we pretty much. I mean, my takeaway was that Doc was gonna be an ally of sorts for Ultra Magnus. He just feels like he's questioning things, and Magnus, his presence alone, is making him question things further, and that's why he's kind of revisiting the Bible, which he kind of has mentioned that he has turned away from. In last issue, he mentioned that. So there's just you can kind of see there's a Doc is very conflicted about what is going on, and it's just planting more seeds. I feel like he might be the way that Ultra Magnus gets out of this situation. So we'll see. We don't know. But that's my takeaway from this 2-page sequence. Let me ask you this, Moon. Am I remembering Flag correctly? I mean, my memory is. I mean, I haven't read some of the early GI Joe comics in a long time, and or like watched a lot of the cartoons. It's been years. But is there anything that I'm missing on what his role is within the greater GI Joe team?
Well, it's been a while for me too since I've read the issues with him in it. I don't think he was in the cartoon, but I think that you're mostly spot on, if not entirely spot on. He's like in the comic there was also General Austin, and I feel like him and Flag were kind of like they were like the top brass that had connections to GI Joe, and they were the ones that kind of facilitated them existing as part of the U.S. government. So very much my impression was that they were kind of like you were describing, like they were the guys at the Pentagon, or they would be the guys that like went in and talked to like the other top brass of the military, or senators, politicians, whatever. So yeah, I think you mostly got it.
All right, cool. That's I didn't remember if there was anything other specific thing that I just completely blanked on, but
if so, I have blanked on them as well.
And it's not important. If we blanked on it, ads.
You're gonna
So
get
is he like
checked in the comments?
Absolutely, please.
Yeah, please let us know. Is he like the higher ups? Is that what I'm understanding? Like the higher ups of like G.I. Joe?
Yeah.
And like are the higher ups like morally gray? Like is that how they usually are, or
In
not
G.I.
really?
Joe or in real life?
Well, for G.I.
In the
Joe.
military? Oh, my bad, guys. Sorry.
Let me I feel like we have seen Flag. I thought we saw him in Destro.
We did.
Right?
We saw him in Destro.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He was. Yeah, no, we saw him in issues 3 and in 4, and that was his first appearance in the Energon universe. So in this continuity, for sure, they are. Flag specifically is much more morally gray. I guess this is kind of keeping with G.I. Joe in general, which is they do whatever they need to do that's in the best interest of the country. And so I guess spoilers for Destro, but we see Destro kind of coming in and manipulating Flag a little bit. He wants information from him, and Flag is essentially like, no, but Destro is like, well, okay, but I mean, who is really like, who's selling your government all these weapons? Like I can really mess things up for the U.S. if I want to, and like the defense of the U.S. And so Flag just starts working with Destro and like gives him this information. And all that information is about Starscream and Duke's encounter with Starscream.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's safe to assume that Flag has some understanding of the Transformers, has understanding of Energon. So I'm assuming that he's viewing this as his opportunity to do some more research and figure out what's going on with these guys, with these robots.
Okay. Now, what do you guys think they're doing to our poor city commander?
Not entirely clear to me. I couldn't quite. I couldn't tell where that arm thing, that claw that they're lowering, if it's attaching to his face, but it seems like it might be. I don't know. I wasn't. Are they going into his head?
They're going to turn him into a headmaster.
Like Magnus has been through it. Oh, but yeah, there's. It wasn't immediately clear to me what they were doing.
Why does the guy need to be wearing a hazmat suit?
Yeah.
Like Flag and Doc are just like, yeah, here we are. It's cool.
Yeah. It's like, don't worry about that. Nothing to see here.
Delta, what are your thoughts on this whole 2-page sequence with Magnus and Doc, and poor Magnus getting tortured again?
I would agree with you guys. I feel like they're kind of setting up Magnus and Doc to be best buds. I like again the introduction, or well, I guess not the introduction, but the continuation of Doc being a spiritual man in some sense, even if he's not quite sure anymore. I feel like that will resonate with Ultra Magnus. That's what Ultra Magnus needs, as he's kind of at a low point in his life where he's struggling. Not that he's gonna, believe in whatever text might be in this Bible, but he needs that. I feel like he needs that sense of spirituality in his life to kind of help him push forward and move forward. Because they're both soldiers.
Yep.
They're both soldiers who are trying to live with what they've seen and trying to be human, even though Ultra Magnus isn't human. They're trying to be human. And so I think it's a great pairing. I'm really excited to see where that leads. I bet you Doc's going to spring him out.
Yeah. And I have to say, Carl, I was impressed that you clocked it as early as last issue, because it wasn't until this issue that I was like, oh, I think I see what they're doing now. So well done.
Thank you. Yeah.
Ultra Magnus is going to become a preacher. He's going to be giving us sermons.
Yes.
To go back and build his sanctuary. But it reminds me, you mentioned Carly. It's like, yeah, it's another issue where we haven't seen Carly.
They're building up to something.
Yeah, right.
100% they are.
That could be, and to be honest with you, to their credit, I completely forgot about Carly while reading this issue. Which is, but they're doing, when you have that setup where you have some other character re-emerge into the plot as a surprise, to do that effectively, I think they're doing that effectively here, because I was like, I didn't even because there's so many characters to revisit. I didn't even think about it. Sorry, Carly, but outside of the scene we see later on, but I didn't think about her in the current events version of where she is. So
yeah, I mean, Carly does get mentioned again, although she's not in it, as we do shift to Cybertron with Alita's group, and we do see that Blue Streak and Warpath are repairing Shockwave's space bridge that he had connected to Earth and where the Nemesis was at. But we learn to find out that because the space bridge that was on Earth is destroyed and scattered, they will need 4 times the Energon to piece themselves together as they get teleported to the other side, and they only have enough to take 1 person. Now, what I find really interesting is that they're using Shockwave's technology here. Obviously, they have no choice. And I do like how Warpath kind of makes that comment like, oh, I can't believe we're using, Shockwave's technology. But we still don't really know what at least maybe I don't, maybe I just forgot something. I just don't know what the clear goal is for Alita and what they plan to do, because Blue Streak says we can't all go get Optimus like you'd hope. There's only enough Energon to send one of us back. Is there a plan to just forcefully take Optimus back to Cybertron? I don't know.
Yeah,
It just sounds.
what does he mean by get Optimus? You know?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know why like Blue Streak would be like, yeah, surely Optimus will agree as we just kidnap him to force his way back to Cybertron. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
This plan seems very just cracks everywhere in this plan.
well, it's because we still don't know what Alita, what she's thinking. You know, we've seen Shredhead come online. She sees the change that he can be for the Autobots, but now they're talking about sending one. They can send one back to Earth, and it purposefully is very vague. And is she thinking Shredhead? Is she thinking Cliffjumper? Like what's she thinking? And yeah, we don't know. And it's interesting that you know Alita is the one driving this, whatever this mission is, right? So Cliffjumper's off just talking about Carly, telling Shredhead about Carly, and it's not Cliffjumper who's the one who is actively like involved in the plan to get back to Earth, which is
Yeah.
I mean it's just that's an interesting way to present whatever this mission is. Yeah, so it's very unclear to me what actually is going to happen here. I have a feeling what's going to happen, but I don't know.
I do love the interaction with Cliffjumper and Shredhead as they talk about Carly, and I really do just love about how much of an impact Carly has had for Cliffjumper, and how he says, "I'm one of the smallest Autobots there is, but she made me realize how big I really am and how big everything is." Because, oh man, these poor Autobots, they've been through so much, but like the fact that like Carly for Cliffjumper is kind of like that ray of hope, and also to Shredhead now, Shredhead saying like, "Don't worry, you know, we're strong enough to protect you and Carly." And, you know, Cliffjumper wanting to be bigger and stronger, and then it just gets interrupted with Alita saying, "I need to show you guys something," which is probably the space bridge. Now, I want to ask you guys, obviously, your thoughts on this dialogue between Shredhead and Cliffjumper as they talk about Carly, but also too, who do you guys think? Who do you think's gonna be the one Autobot that's gonna get sent over to Earth and try and forcefully take Optimus back to Cybertron?
Shredhead.
Same.
100%.
Shredhead.
Yeah, I think Alita sees Shredhead as being the most, you know, powerful of them, because I think he is. And if it does turn out that her goal is to kind of forcefully have Optimus to return, I think that could be a really interesting power dynamic, because, you know, Shredhead seems like they're pretty gung ho and not quite as jaded as everybody else, with good reason. They're really mainly just interested in finding Carly to help Cliffjumper. So it'll be interesting if when they arrive, if there's some tension between Optimus and Alita and Shredhead, almost like, you know, the third party's being kind of pulled into this really messy relationship. I think if that happens, I think that could be very interesting.
Yeah, I have a hard time thinking that the mission for Alita is to just go get Optimus Prime and bring him back. Because the whole second arc was about Optimus making that decision and staying on Earth. And I don't know. I have a hard time thinking. And then to think that the answer to accomplish that mission would be to send Shredhead, and Shredhead's having this heart-to-heart conversation with Cliffjumper, who kind of, you know, agrees with or understands why Optimus would want to stay on Earth, because Cliffjumper wants to get back to Earth. He wants to get back to Carly. So, you know, Cliffjumper and Shredhead are bros in this situation. So I don't see Shredhead being the one to go back to Earth and say like, "Okay, Alita," like what's his allegiance to Alita outside of, you know, Cliffjumper, her helping Cliffjumper bring him back online? Is that going to make him compelled to go get Optimus? I don't see that happening. But I mean, but just for the story sense, I feel like Shredhead is the one to go back to Earth. So I do think that's going to happen. But I just I don't know. I haven't put my finger on the idea of what Alita is planning here, or thinking it will be successful if Shredhead is the one to go retrieve Optimus.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Alita's plans are, but it does kind of seem like she's scheming about something. To me, it seems like they're maybe setting up Shredhead to be the one to go find Ultra Magnus and Carly. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know how all that is going to shake out necessarily.
You mentioned her scheming, and what if the scheme is that, again, this is speculation, but Blue Streak is saying, go get Optimus, but what if her plan all along is to, like you said, go get Ultra Magnus? It's like, look, Optimus for Alita, Optimus is maybe a lost cause, but she sees this as an opportunity that Ultra Magnus is restored, so go get Ultra Magnus and bring Ultra Magnus back to Cybertron. The heck with Optimus, and so maybe that's what her her secret plan is, but she's presenting it as, oh, it's Optimus Prime, because we haven't had Alita talk about her feelings towards Optimus Prime. Like, that's still like unresolved tension from issue 12, and she hasn't talked about it. She's kind of gone along. She's done this thing with Cliffjumper's side mission. Shredhead comes back online. She sees him as a really powerful ally, but we've never heard, at least from what I remember, I don't think she's mentioned her ill feelings towards Prime yet.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
That's a good point.
But I think that's interesting. If the mission is to get Ultra Magnus, it's almost it would be a full circle kind of thing with Alita's storyline, because the first time we see her in the comic, she's going to get Ultra Magnus, and she has that whole thing where it's like, I'm not going to leave you behind, all that stuff. I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
I like the potential.
I think you guys are cooking. However, I have a crackpot theory. Now, this most likely won't be true at all, but what if the idea here is they want to forcefully bring Optimus back, and then somehow Optimus is linked to the Well of Allsparks because of the Matrix? What if this is an idea to kind of bring a quote unquote second golden age of Cybertron by somehow, some way the Matrix involved? I mean, they kind of give off the impressions that, like, not really that Alita's group is like winning on Cybertron, but like they do have a decent amount of control right now because of Shredhead. So she could be scheming something with the Well of Allsparks and wanting to use the Matrix for whatever reason. And I don't think Cliffjumper will be sent back, because I can't remember the exact words, but it was like volume 3 at the beginning when we see like Cliffjumper on Cybertron and like this whole plan to get Shredhead and all that. And like I can't remember what was said, but it was something like along the lines of like, like, if we do this, like, you're not planning to go back to Earth and go back to Optimus, and Cliffjumper kind of just says no, or something along the lines like that. So I don't think she would want Cliffjumper to go because of that kind of unspoken deal of like, hey, you're with me now, like you're like, don't go to Optimus's group. So, I mean, me personally, Shredhead makes the most sense, and I think you guys are 100% correct on that. But what if, and that this is part of my agenda, what if it's Blades? What if it's the Blades agenda? So, I mean, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right.
Because, Blades might have something that, later in this story, but
he could prove quite handy.
Hey, I like that. Yeah.
Hey.
I think that's definitely an interesting theory. I think as we'll see later on in the issue, if that's what Alita is hoping for, using the Matrix like that, she might be a little hard pressed. As later in these pages we learn more about the Matrix.
Yes, and she probably doesn't realize that the Matrix is pretty much empty as well, because I don't think she ever really asked.
Mm-hmm.
But heading into the real meat and potatoes here, we have Megatron and his Decepticons, and it looks like Megatron is fully healed, as he has both of his eyes back, and he seems to have used that machine that he forcefully made Starscream use last issue before, beat the living snot out of him. And this is when the issue really starts to just go, because we see the Decepticons are just kind of scouting out the Ark in this forest area. They're just kind of on top of this mountain. and how we have this little conversation between Megatron giving props to Soundwave for how he's been able to push the Autobots back while dealing with Starscream and that whole Civil War arc we got last volume. And this is just so funny to me because I just don't think we've ever seen this type of duo with Megatron and Starscream. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm just a fake Transformers fan, but I just love how we have Starscream saying like, oh, the arc is a significant addition, the Autobots aren't that weak or whatever, and Megatron just slaps him and just says, keep your pathetic comments to yourself. And he says, or I shall replace your mouth with a metal plate. Your only use is to be a vessel for my violent plans. And he transforms into his gun mode, forces Starscream to hold him in his gun mode, and says, we strike at their heart tonight. And we pick up with the next page with this. This looks very painful. I don't know if you guys get the same impression, but we see Optimus just with a bunch of wires and cables being just plugged into him as he's just on this bench being monitored from Wheeljack. And we kind of start to get an answer here of what's making Optimus act the way he does, because I mean, we all know there's just been times where Optimus just kind of like rages out, has a little bit of just that gamer rage and just starts to just lash out. And Wheeljack says, it looks like your intuition was correct. After the length of time from the last moment you used the Matrix against Devastator, it should have charged at least a little, but there's been nothing. It's almost as if something is blocking it, like an infection. But before we kind of get the confirmation, we see alarms going off as Decepticons begin their assault. And we have this awesome looking page here where you just see all this gunfire just raining down on the arc. We see Jazz manning this turret. We see Trailbreaker manning the turret. You also see Beachcomber and Spike in the background as well. I don't know why they have Spike kind of in the front lines there. I don't know. That's not very smart. But we also see Thundercracker just kind of watching this just from the shadows, really. And we see the Autobots returning fire. And we do get Decepticons unleashing the two combiners. And we see Bruticus and Devastator going at it. And I'm going to pause here to get you guys' thoughts because a lot goes on from now till the end of this issue. We have Bruticus and Devastator. And we have this just funny sibling rivalry between these two of like Devastator being the older brother and Bruticus being like the little brother, because Bruticus says the only thing that's better than smashing Devastator is smashing Autobots. But you just see him get blasted. You just see Devastator laughing, calling him an idiot, and then Bruticus getting mad, and they just start to duke it out. And I don't know, because we talked about it last episode, how like they're just it's like Megatron's like the dad, and you have just these combiners just acting like children. Have we like seen combiners act like this before? Like obviously Bruticus is the name, he's like a brute, but like have we seen something like this before where they're just kind of acting like just siblings? Because like I think this is amazing and hilarious at the same time.
I think we've seen combiners be maybe a little dim-witted before in the past, have we not?
Yeah, they've always been kind of like, I mean,
Different.
kind of like children. In a
Yes,
little way,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
yeah, they've never been like fully developed Cybertronians.
It's a good way to kind of make them to take that idea and turn it into have them act childish, which I like. I think that's a good way to in their combined form, they're just like you said, like just a couple of siblings just fighting and a good sibling rivalry. And after all, it's a family comic. It's all about family. It's the Autobots, Decepticons, and this is their dysfunctional family. I love it. It's like the Optimus and Megatron as dads. Yeah.
I really like how they're just kind of like just an older brother, little brother, just kind of instead of like focusing on the Autobots, they just start to attack each other, which kind of gives the Autobots the upper hand because we see that in the next page of just all this gunfire just going on. And we see Thundercracker, and it's really cool to get more of this like Thundercracker subplot, although it's just kind of unfortunate that it's going on with all this action, because I probably would have preferred to get more dialogue between him and Skywarp. Now, obviously, in the future, we'll probably know what they were planning, because we see Thundercracker make the comment say all these Cybertronians know how to do is fight, and we see him flick a switch on Skywarp's chest and say, "Let us go away from this place." And while that's all happening, we see Optimus getting ready to shoot at Starscream, but something just comes over Optimus and immediately points his fusion cannon arm at Jazz and Wheeljack. And my goodness, look at like poor Jazz's face as he just says Optimus. Like I would be scared too. Like I am not making fun of Jazz, but oh my God, it just, you can just see how painful that looks. Like, just, oh my God, you're receiving gunfire from the Decepticons, and then now your leader just points his gun at you. It's not good. It's just, oh man, stress is at an all-time high. But before Optimus, gets ready to shoot Jazz and Wheeljack, suddenly the arc just disappears. And before we get into more what happens after that, I do want to ask your guys' thoughts and kind of like theory craft here. What is Thundercracker's plan, and where did they go? Because like this just happens while all the action's happening, and there's just so much going on in this issue.
He's going to build a Seeker utopia where Starscream's not
Dinobot
invited.
Island.
Dino, yes, absolutely, where Starscream is not invited. Which I'd also like to point out on that panel, the box right next to it, where Optimus is pointing Megatron's cannon at Starscream, is very James Bond-esque.
Yeah, James Bond,
absolutely.
with him sitting. I also want to call out, I know this was a few pages ago, I apologize for not speaking up, Wheeljack at the monitors when he's looking at Optimus. I love how all the monitors have all these exclamation marks all over
Yep.
it. I get it.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on here.
I love it. I understand it from a visual storytelling point, but I'd just like to imagine that Teletran one is like, "Excuse me, do you see this?
Like, hello.
Why
alert,
is
alert,
he here?"
alert.
Yeah. What do you mean you don't know what the issue is? Look at him.
It's more like, how is this guy still operating? Like, there's just so
Why did you
many
let him do that?
warnings.
Really, the big question is, why is punctuation act the same way on Teletran 1 as it does in
Yeah.
English?
Wait a second. Yeah, how are the Autobots speaking English? This comic is bad.
Ruined. So there's a lot to like unpack in these pages that we talked about. But to answer your question on like theory casting of what Thundercracker's plan is, do you want me to get into like what I think potentially might happen?
Yes.
All right. So now this is a shout out to a friend, Nathan, another Transformers fan. And
Shout out Nathan.
I was talking to him, and we were kind of doing this same type of thing just privately. You're trying to figure out what's going on, what's the plan here, and he had mentioned that if you look at what is probably still in the arc, and it's Jetfire. Jetfire is in there. What does Skywarp need?
Oh no. Oh no.
And didn't Jetfire go by a different name?
Oh no.
What was that name?
Yeah, it was Skyfire. Oh my.
No.
Nah, my mind's blown. This is insane.
No.
Shout out Nathan.
Yo, shout out Nathan.
That's
crazy theory. What?
I mean, if that doesn't happen, I'm going to be disappointed.
Like he mentioned that, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's it's kind of perfect." And it speaks to what they've been doing in this series. Like when Moon, you mentioned the it was the origin for an unused design for
Mechanical.
Mechanical. Yeah, thank you. So they're bringing in aspects of Transformers lore outside of what we've seen in the actual like canonized media. So like, what if that's where this is going?
Dude.
Man. We're a theory channel now.
Yeah,
rename the channel to Teletran
This is
Series.
amazing.
No, I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's great. We should do more of this.
It seems like it's one of those things where it's a dangerous game to play, because you get so attached to the idea. It's like that's what's happening. That should totally be what's happening. And then it doesn't happen. You're like, what? And it doesn't mean that if it doesn't happen, whatever happens isn't worse. It's just you have to kind of like take a step back and then reevaluate and approach it from like a fresh perspective and say, well, that's not what happened. Let's look at it for what it is. So, but as we stand right now, I was like, I want that to happen.
As far as theories go, like that's genius. Like it's just, oh man, that's so
it's
good.
wild, but it's genius. Yes,
it feels pretty perfect because
it's crazy and cracked enough to work.
Yes. Yeah, right.
Exactly.
but yeah. So we haven't seen like you mentioned, Swizz, like we haven't seen Thundercracker talk a lot to Skywarp.
No.
Even their that the meeting they had a couple issues ago, it was very dialogue light. So we haven't really seen them talk to each other, and yeah, so you got to think like we know nothing about what Thundercracker is thinking outside of like, look, I had this plan to teleport the Ark somewhere, and it's like, yeah, hey, it's working, and yeah, I don't know.
Okay, but do you think Thundercracker would really do that though? The Jetfire, like think about like how he's been acting in this story. Like, do you think he would? Well, I guess for Skywarp, yeah, he would.
I mean,
just maybe they'll pull like a Starscream with his tank. They'll just like attach Skywarp's torso to the plane mode.
Maybe they switch places. Jetfire's now Teletran 1. Man,
like,
if that happens though, Warren Johnson, what did Jetfire do to you, man? What did he do to you? That's crazy.
I don't know. We'll see what happens, but that'd be pretty fun. But what if just by putting that theory out into the world that it doesn't happen? Like, did we just ruin it? Did we just like,
yes, we ruined the surprise.
Yeah. So
Johnson had a
Warren Johnson's
plan.
listening to this. He's like, I'm not doing this.
You guys. Yeah. It's like, gotta rewrite everything. These knuckleheads.
It seems like it would be too late to do, but
yeah,
it like simultaneously also delays the books by like 6 months to a year. It's like we're the most hated Transformers fans on the internet all of a sudden.
Thanks, Nathan.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Nathan.
Yeah, it wasn't us; it was Nathan. He did
it. But so one thing I did want to mention one other thing in the pages that we were talking about. How do you guys feel about Megatron's eyes being repaired like off panel? Did that bother you at all? Was it okay? What were the thoughts?
Yeah,
or were they totally fine with it?
Yeah.
Did you not like it?
I at first I didn't notice it, to be honest with you. Like I just was reading the story and I was like, okay, yeah. And then I was like, whoa, wait a minute. He's got eyes. And I don't think I noticed it when I first read that first page where he appears, but then I noticed it like later on. And I don't know. I with what this issue is, with what it becomes later on in this issue, it's about Megatron becoming whole. And I feel like I would almost rather have seen that happen. Have the conversation that is on that page of them kind of traveling. Have that, maybe that conversation take place at that, the Cybertron chunk where he has that his resources, and have him in that chair being repaired. You could still have him saying what he's saying to Soundwave, and then you can still have him give the slap. But then the page could still end with a shot of the Ark and talking about, hey, we're going to go strike at their heart. So you could get the same information out there. But I feel like potentially could have been a nice journey to show the journey of him becoming whole again. So you get like the eyes and then the what we see later on. So I don't know. Like it's not a negative thing. It's just it's something that we've seen them do before, and which I understand. There's a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot of things that need to happen in a short amount of real estate. But I feel like in this instance, maybe you could still achieve that same everything that's on this page, just in a different setting. So
okay, so let me ask you this: if you could sacrifice a page to get that, just page of him like becoming having his eyes come back and all that, what page
Yeah.
would you sacrifice?
It may be this one. It'd be the same one. The same one
Oh,
that,
okay.
that you
All
the first page that you see him on. Like all of that could happen. I feel like
Okay.
this
Yeah.
exact same conversation could be on
Maybe
on
they
that
don't have to scout out the arc. They're
Cybertron.
just kind of like just talking.
Yeah.
Saying, yeah.
Like,
Okay.
because like
All right.
'cause he could send off Laserbeak. I mean, they still.
Oh
you know,
yeah,
they,
that's true.
they could. I mean, it's not a. I guess because Soundwave and Starscream both know where the arc is, so it's not like it's a secret location. So you don't necessarily need to scout it out or go find it. So they still know where it was. So you could accomplish the same thing by. I mean, I don't know. It's not. I'm not like not nitpicking. It's not like a
Worst issue ever.
No,
Not
yeah.
accurate.
It just I like what it could have represented in the grand scheme of things by having him, get his eyes back and then go retrieve that other thing that he really wants. So,
Carl, is it more is and I say issue very lightly, is the issue that you have more so that his eyes are lit up, or more so that we didn't see the process of that? Because I'm actually went back to issue 20 because I was like, oh, you're right, and I had totally forgotten that the end of issue 20, Laserbeak detaches from him and he doesn't even have the cables in his eyes anymore. So I'm guessing it's really more just from his eyes being dark to now his eyes being red that they've come back online. Because I thought issue 20 ended with Megatron still being hooked up to Laserbeak. I forgot that he disconnected.
but didn't he? So, but he didn't necessarily. This is like
We're getting into super nitpicky.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah,
his
this is
eyes
like,
aren't his eyes are not lit up, but he no longer
Right.
has the wires. That's what I went
Yeah.
back to look at because I was like,
okay.
oh
so
man, he's right.
Well, I don't think
So
he
the-
has eyes at that point because they were like gouged out in Cobra Law.
No, yeah, you're correct. I wasn't even sure if Laserbeak had just. That was also my issue. Now that you mentioned it, Carl, I was like, wait, he's right. Laserbeak doesn't even disconnect from him. And I went back and went, oh, he already did. I missed it in issue 20, which is just a testament to the amazing art that I'm getting
So
lost in.
I mean, it grand scheme of things, does this matter? No, it does not matter. But we're here talking about the issue, so let's it's just fun to talk about those things. I personally, I would have liked to have seen that repair happen, because it's only the sense that I guess let's put it this way. It's easy for us. We already have the information to know how that was accomplished. So we know that he has that supply, and we know that chair, that kind of setup is there for these kind of repairs to happen. So it's not like it happened off panel and we have no context to figure out how that happened. I just would like to have seen that. So that's all.
That's fair. And
I
but
think that's fair.
if I may offer a counterpoint, I think that situating this scene in this like beautifully colored, like serene countryside, I think that does a little bit more to set up the tension of the upcoming attack than it would if they were like watching Laserbeak on a monitor in like the Nemesis or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me. But in terms of this scene, but I get what you're saying in terms of wanting to see kind of like Megatron, like assuming his full form or whatever. So yeah, it's just kind of hard, like finding that balance. And so, I mean, obviously the creative team went with the way that they thought it would be balanced best. But yeah, I can see what you're saying, but I don't know. I like that this scene is the way that it is, and it's set where it's set personally.
Like the family hike aspect of it, and then it's
Yeah. Yes. Mhm.
Yeah. Which and again, I just want to clarify, like it's not wrong. I don't think that this is the wrong way to do it. So I don't have any like, oh my gosh, this is ruined. It and you're right that it does kind of have, in the sense of it's the calm before the storm. This really, that you're absolutely right. And this page kind of represents the calm, it's at least calm before the slap. But there is there is that sense of calm, like the things that are coming. We know that there's a huge confrontation coming, and it's it also speaks to in the sense of when I said the issue was about moving parts to get them where they needed to be, like this is showing that movement. So that it's still serving the purpose of the issue. So yeah, so I'm not going to boycott the next issue because of this.
Right. Yeah. It's not the end of the world, but
Yeah,
I
not at all.
do agree with you. Like you've convinced me because now that I'm like thinking about it, and I hope listeners do not roll their eyes because when I say this, it would have been a really cool, like if we got another kind of G1 callback with the movie, the animated movie, with kind of like Laserbeak comes back, Soundwave transforms, and we see like a display screen of like the arc, and kind of like that the beginning of the '86 movie before they like take on the Autobot ship and kill our beloved characters.
Like a
So like,
slight
would have been
nod.
cool to get something like that type of callback. But I take it or leave it. That's I think both. You know what I mean? Like what they ended up doing was perfect. Like it was not the end of the world.
No.
But we do see that with the arc disappearing. I do love like how just cool just the effects are with Skywarp's teleportation with the arc just disappearing, and we see like this avalanche happen and all the Autobots get knocked out here, and then we have Megatron acting like a dad again, telling Bruticus and Devastator to knock it off. And I love how he just says, "Pull your heads out of your scrapples." I love when Transformers media just like have this creative language of like just how we kind of say things. And so yeah, Scrapples made me chuckle when I was reading that. And I love how Bruticus is like, but he said he acting like the younger brother here. And you don't really see Devastator say anything here. Like, cause like I said, I truly believe like Devastator here is like the older sibling. Like he knows what he's doing is like wrong. Like beating up the younger sibling, but like Bruticus did start it. So I don't know. I just think it's just so funny that we get more of this, and how Megatron's just kind of like, I do not care for your useless squabbling, focus on the enemy and not each other. Because like I said a little bit ago, if they weren't fighting each other, I think the fight would have just ended like that. Like the Autobots just would have been done. But we do just see this awesome just image here of them just looking over at the Autobots as they're knocked out and just laying on the rubble from the avalanche. And we just see nothing but shadows and red eyes. It looks awesome. Like Corona and Spicer really killed it this issue. And shame on me for not bringing that up sooner, but I'm going to bring it up now. Really great art this issue. I really, really love the coloring on this issue. But before the Autobots kind of get destroyed or are about to get destroyed from the Decepticons, we see the aerial bots come in, and they kind of make not easy work, but they make quick work by distracting the Decepticons here, because we see Silverbolt leading the charge and saying, "Come on, boys, let's make Optimus proud," and combine into Superion with this awesome looking page. Like it's a full page of just Superion literally stepping on Bruticus and Devastator. It is amazing. I love this page. Like, oh my God. It's so good. And I want to quickly ask you guys, how strong do we think Superion is? Like, is Superion strong enough to take both combiners on at once? Or is this just kind of more of a surprise attack and distraction so the other Autobots can kind of just get up and go? Because I feel like Superion could honestly take the 1v2 if it wasn't for like the other Decepticons with Megatron and Soundwave. I don't know.
Well, we may never know now, unless we'll get to that later. But I think that's an interesting question. I always just kind of go into combiners thinking that they are kind of like a mutually assured destruction kind of thing, where it's like they're all just kind of equally powerful. But yeah, I've never really thought about the tiers of like powers between them. But I mean, if you're going to have an Autobot combiner who is capable of doing that, I don't know who else it would be other than Superion. I mean, I love Defensor, but I mean,
Yeah, I
come
was about to
on.
say. Oh,
And
come
it's
on,
not
man!
gonna be,
Don't
it's not
do our
gonna be
guy like that.
Computron, you know. But so yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like
think
to
it's like-
think this photo of Superion coming down and just getting both of them is yet another instance of Daniel Warren Johnson taking wrestling moves from WWE and
Oh, yeah.
AEW. I don't know much of anything. I was reading this in bed and I saw this page and turned the comic over to Mrs. Trion because she's always watched wrestling growing up. And I was like, is this a wrestling move? And she's like, yeah, that's the double foot stomp by Alberto Del Rio. And I was
Oh.
like, okay, thank you. Thank you.
wow.
Thank you for confirming with me. Even if it's not, the fact that it sparks that idea to somebody who knows nothing about Transformers but wrestling, I was like, all right, cool.
Okay.
I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I didn't know. Like, I don't know anything about wrestling either. But like, I saw this and I was like, I bet that's a wrestling move.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that splash is like just absolutely amazing, and I just love the how do I say it? So the dirt and everything that gets like kind of kicked up behind Superion, like kind of like their
Mhm.
impact of them hitting the ground, and then this like, huge kind of crater being formed, and then you get like everything that's happening in the background is just absolutely beautiful. Like you said, it was colored wonderfully. To answer you, Delta, as far as like the hierarchy of powers, I always kind of thought the same thing as somewhat on a level playing field, but maybe like some are better at like a couple other things. Like certain attributes are maybe a little bit different. But for this, it makes sense that it's a sneak attack. The kind of the attack nature of Superion, as far as like the fighter jets, so it fits the character. Because they're the attack fighter jets, they show up. It's a sneak attack, and then he just is able to ambush them. So I think it's situational in this situation as far as like the 1v2. I don't know how it would turn out if they get up and the fight continues. But yeah, in this, it's just a good tactical move on Superion's part.
It's so good, and it looks like right now Superion doesn't really need a hand with dealing with these combiners.
No, dude,
Brother.
not cool.
Dun, dun, dun.
Not cool.
Dude, just buy the toys already. We get it.
Dude.
Hasbro shill.
Sponsored ad incoming for no, I'm not gonna. But real quick, I do want to like jump back a little bit. I know we've got a lot to talk about with Superion, but the whole thing with Bruticus and Devastator, like getting into their little fight, and we've got some lines from Megatron here, and I don't know if this is just me, but in reading Megatron in previous issues, I almost always kind of hear Corey Burton as animated Megatron.
Yeah.
As like his voice. But like on this page, like this feels like this reads like Frank Welker to me, like just straight out of the G1 cartoon. Like I can just like hear him saying some of these lines. But yeah, I don't know. Who do you guys hear? Delta, it sounds like you hear Corey Burton.
Yeah, no, I love Corey Burton's take on Megatron. I feel like it's one that we haven't really been able to kind of get more often as of lately. More cunning, scheming Megatron. I do always, when he's screaming here, I immediately think of, and I can never say his last name correctly. Swizz, maybe you can.
Protatosaur?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that's who I hear.
Or for Cybertron.
Oh yeah, okay.
I hear him when anytime there's screaming.
Yep.
I feel like he's the best angry screaming Megatron. But other than that, I normally do hear Corey Burton. At least when I read it, that's how I have it in my head.
For me, in this scene, it's Welker, and we talk about the punctuation last issue where is Megatron just making statements. It was all like ended in periods. Like here, he's like exclamation points. So it's like this is more like a Welker approach to like the what is being said, because he's yelling at his kids like, "Would you just knock it off?" But like But it's a good reminder of just the respect and the power that Megatron has. It's before we saw how many issues of Bruticus and Devastator just continually to just knock the snot out of each other. And it's just a reminder that Megatron is back. It's like, hey guys, like you need just stop. So I like that. I like that he has that ability to control them, to kind of sway like, all right, enough. So yeah, it's a good character moment too.
Yeah, when I first was like getting introduced to this version of Megatron, I would think of David K. But as we've gotten more and just the like Delta said, like the screaming and yelling, yeah, I to me every time I read this now, it's always Fred Tatasciore. Like it's just rah, I'll restore Cybertron to its former glory, rah. Like it just screams.
I kind of
unbridled
see
rage.
that. Like
Yeah.
now that you guys have pointed that out, I can see that one too. It's great that there's like so many different versions.
Oh yeah.
And it's like the pulling from everywhere to kind of create this Megatron.
Do you guys hear Peter for this Optimus?
Oh yeah.
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 As an obvious question, but yeah.
I hear
Yeah,
Generation
I do, yeah.
1 Peter. I think it's common to think of Peter Cullen, especially more recently as he's done Optimus Prime more. He has a much lower tone voice as he's aged, but I kind of hear that very early Generation 1 almost kind of smoother Optimus voice. I just have to, knowing that he's kind of a younger character here, or maybe a less experienced character in my mind.
Well, let's drill down onto that a little bit more. So like season 1, like John Wayne Optimus, or like season 2 in the movie, like more, you know what I mean?
I kind of feel the John Wayne of it, you know.
Okay.
All right. At the beginning,
maybe
I heard John Wayne.
because of the sadness that he feels sometimes, that John Wayne is able also to kind of to give off in many of his films. Obviously, I think we always think of him as John Wayne, but he has such a range, and I think Peter has had such a range too with Optimus. And I hear that season 1, very early Generation 1 Optimus when I read this comic.
I mean, you kind of have to later on, jumping ahead, but I mean, there's a moment pulled straight from.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's for another time.
I would also like to say one last thing, I promise. I love the panel of, and I know, again, I keep going back a few pages.
Oh, that's fine. There's a lot going on in this issue.
This thing moves. It's hard to talk about what is happening in the issue without like, but there's so much to unpack. So
as much as I do love that panel of Megatron saying, "I don't care about your useless squabbling," the panel right after that with him just standing in the forest while they start arguing again is hilarious to me, because it's like Megatron is just standing there and he's going, like he literally has nothing else to say. He's like, "You have got to be kidding me." They're still going, and he doesn't even say anything in return. He's like, I'm not even going to waste my time." I just love him.
He's like, "What
standing there,
like,
go.
Surrounded by idiots.
Yes, yeah. It gives off the same. It gives off the same energy from. I believe it's. And you'll have to forgive me for not knowing exactly the. I believe it was Avengers, Infinity War, when Iron Man. Is standing with Spider-Man and Star-Lord, and they're arguing, and he just looks off to the camera. He's like, if nothing is said, he's just like, this is we're gonna die. It makes me think of that. Poor Megatron.
I think more like in dad mode, where it's like, look, go clean your room. I don't care how it gets done. I don't care if you argue while you're doing it. Just go freaking do it. He's like, you guys just get back on task. Like, I don't, just whatever. Keep bickering, but just go. Like, so.
It's very good. I love the, I don't know. I just love the sibling rivalry. But while Superion's making some quick work with the Decepticons, as I guess you could say as a distraction, we kind of see the Autobots, kind of wake back up as, they were knocked out by the avalanche. And, Optimus just has this revelation that it's the arm that's causing all of this, and that it has to come off. But no matter what, it just no matter how hard he pulls, the arm won't come off. Because, we saw in Volume 1 how easily he tore off his arm and used it as a weapon. Very, very cool page in that story. But here, nope, the fusion cannon arm won't come off. And we see Optimus saying, it's infecting my thoughts, my actions against those I care for most. And it's so hard. Like, the art in this issue is just so good. I don't know which one's like my favorite, the Superion art or this art right here, just seeing him like trying to pull the arm off and you just see all this purple smoke just coming off. It looks so freaking sweet. And we see, Spike and Beachcomber, and we see Optimus tell Spike to get away from him as he is not himself. And Optimus coming up with this just drastic idea and plan. And that is to have the Autobots shoot the arm off. And you can see they do not want to do this. And you can just see the sadness in Optimus's face. And I will argue this till I'm dead, man. You can have Optimus show emotion without having a mouth because it is done beyond amazing here. You can just see how sad he is. Just look at the eyes as he tells his Autobots to get ready, to load up the weapons, and they violently just shoot that arm off. And we see Wheeljack saying sorry, just the look of regret, just of what had to be done. Like think of it like just your own leader telling you, hey, shoot me. Like it's just you got to take me out. It's really just such a gut punch. But the fusion cannon arm does come off. And before we kind of go and talk about, because the ending here, like the next couple pages, it really is just boom, 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 kind of like just this whole story in this issue. But how are we feeling, man, about the Megatron arm theory? As you can tell, I'm a little happy because I had a lot of people, not you guys obviously, but I had a lot of people say that I was wrong and that it was very obvious that it's Sparky. And no, it's
Swizz, I'm gonna have to see more evidence. I'm gonna have to see more evidence that it was me. I'm not. I don't believe you.
Yeah, how do you? Where are you getting this from, Swizz? Like, how do you know that you were right? I mean, where's
I'm
the
always
evidence?
right.
Where's the evidence?
Yeah, I'm just kidding. But it's just cool. I like it that this theory was like confirmed and like it was the arm. I don't know. Like I remember we talked about it before, and I think the Sparky theory and idea is also good, but just having like Megatron just like kind of like silently just infecting Optimus. I don't know. It's pretty cool. I could see the arguments that it's like overly edgy or whatever, and I think that's fair. But I just think that's such a cool concept. Like he's being infected for this story. He was being infected and kind of didn't realize it until like these last couple of issues. It's really cool. I say that, but issue 12, he kind of was like, oh wait, what happened to me? And that's where we kind of first, and saw how he started raging out. But I don't know, like, what are you guys' thoughts on this, like, being confirmed that it was the arm and not Sparky in the Matrix?
I mean, I think it's not necessarily like we're kind of, it's like kind of both, right? Because, I mean, 100%, you're right. Like, the arm was causing the corruption and everything. But Optimus was still experiencing visions of being a father. So I think that both theories were accurate. And I feel like it's not that, Sparky was corrupting Optimus, but Sparky entering the Matrix has affected Optimus in some way. And I feel like that's where we landed, was that, Megatron's arm is causing some damage to Optimus, but there's something else going on with Sparky and the Matrix as well. So, but I mean, to your question, finally, it's like, I mean, it was just becoming like almost, I don't want to say painfully obvious, but I mean, it was kind of painfully obvious where it was just like,
it definitely was.
Dude, you gotta, like, come on, put 2 and 2 together. It's the arm. You gotta take it off. You gotta stop what you're doing. Just stop it. but yeah, so it's good to finally get confirmation on it. It's good to finally see it happen. And yeah, I mean, I'm kind of, I'm right there with you. Like, there are a lot of really good images in here, but the one of Optimus like trying to remove the arm, yeah, like for me, that's just, it's like, I talk about this in my video, but it's like, I had a thing when I was reading this and I was like, oh, this is an homage. This is an homage to, I couldn't remember which one, either like the how do you feel like going on the offensive page or the page where he ripped off his arm in issue 3. And then I went back and I compared them and I was like, oh, these are really nothing alike other than the fact that they are really cool. But it's like you put those 3 images side by side and you kind of have like this cool like little sequence, like this whole like saga that this
this
comic
evolution
has been going through. And there's like these big like 3 kind of like tentpole moments. And this to me is like one of those images. I think it's just unfortunate that it wasn't like a full page image, because it is very cool and I really, really like it.
It's yet another iconic panel that really just sticks out in your head. Optimus ripping his arm off, and then this one, of him trying to, but he obviously can't.
Yeah.
Just with the placement of the camera angle, like you really see the struggle of like the power he's putting into the attempt to get the arm off. So like you feel that like he's not just, he's really trying to rip that thing off. Like you feel the power that he's putting behind the motion, and that's like kind of like a hard thing to do. To convey in an image the amount of force someone is putting on something. And the fact that he does that, that Jorge does that in this panel is just awesome. Such a great image.
Oh yeah, you look at like the purple smoke and like the white background and like the little effect, like it's literally it's fighting. The arm's fighting him. It's so cool. I love it. And
But
I
do
do
agree
just go ahead.
So I was going to agree with Moon in that it was becoming kind of I don't know. I don't know how people at this point would still think that the arm had nothing to do with it, especially as we learn more about Megatron and learn about what that the canon is like capable of, the fact that it has this power of control that we've seen. Like the clues were all there that was the case. And it's about time. Like that's why it's a moment that when we talked about my initial thoughts on the issue, it's a moment that had to happen. It was done really well, but it also is not like a surprising thing that the arm had to come off. So that's where I kind of grapple with, like, this is a moment that had to happen, and to have it happen in this way, like it's a satisfying way. So it's not a surprise, but it's done beautifully. So. And that's all you can really ask for. With all of the clues that have been placed in front of us, that what is going to happen with that arm coming on.
100%. I do just want to say, for the record, the reason why I'm like just overly like excited about this being right is because just because no one knows, like listening, like I made like shorts coming up with like ideas on this like way back. Like this was like back in like volume 2. And like, I just got like really nasty comments, and like they always just sat in the back of my head. So like, I was just kind of waiting for the moment, because I'm like, it's gonna happen. Like yes, wait. And I agree with Moon, because like, why would you mention Sparky last issue? You know what I mean? With the talk was Spike and Optimus. Why would you like mention Sparky? And I talked about this in my video too. We're definitely gonna see Sparky again, and I think it's both. But it was mainly the arm. And so that's like, I do want to like just mention, like, I'm not writing off like, the whole Sparky thing in the Matrix. Not at all. Cause like, we're not done with that. And that's going to come back in some shape or form, maybe next issue. But it is just cool to see that it's the Fusion Cannon arm. I think my only critique with this, although very, very powerful, with this sequence of events of just Optimus having this realization and, having his men just shoot the arm off. I don't know if you guys will agree with this. Would you guys prefer like a one-on-one with him and Megatron just kind of like makes quick work of Optimus, and then that's how he takes the arm? Or like, what would you guys prefer? Would you guys prefer a fight, or would you guys just kind of like, it's fine how it is here, and then, you know, later on, you know, at the end of this volume, we do get the eventual 1v1, the rematch, if you will, from the special from last year between Optimus and Megatron? I don't know. I feel like it would have been cool to just kind of see Megatron make quick work with Optimus, and because, you know, it's Megatron's arm. You know, he knows the ins and outs of how that fusion cannon arm works. So I don't know. That I'm kind of just rambling, but I want to know your guys' thoughts. Would you guys prefer a fight or just how it happened here in this issue?
I kind of feel like he's toying with him.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like he's doing it on purpose just to make it harder, to make it more difficult for all of them. Because I mean, even earlier in the comic, back when we first see Megatron pop up with Starscream, he even mentions, you know, that he has violent plans in store. I think he just likes. I think this is the more villainous side of Megatron, that he kind of likes the hunt.
I also think the just for the story context, I feel like this happening now is their way of signaling that there's an element of the Sparky story that we're still going to get. So to have it happen at that confrontation, at that point the train has left the station, and like you have to kind of resolve the fight. Like if it happened on like a one-on-one at the kind of the end of the arc. So having it happen now is a better way to give us time to explore the other side of what's happening within the Matrix. And you're right to feel vindicated in the sense that you were talking about where the sense of where the source of the corruption came from, and that was Megatron. So people were kind of thinking like, oh, Sparky being in the Matrix was causing the corruption. No, I think Sparky is there to serve a different purpose, but the corruption was 100% coming from Megatron. So you were.
I think if it wasn't for Sparky, Optimus would have been fully corrupted earlier. That's what I think. I agree with that. I've got a feeling of where this is going, and maybe we can talk about speculation another time. But like, I don't know. I don't want to. I've already maybe ruined one potential thing. I don't want to like. Not that I'm saying I'm right on either one, or that you know I just we'll save that for maybe a different time. That's all. But the story purpose, I think, gives us time to kind of digest this moment. And I would say the one thing that I would this played out differently than I thought it was going to play out, because there were images of and I forget where I saw it. I don't actively try to avoid spoilers or avoid like the cover reveals, like because the Jorge Corona cover, the cover Bs are always like spoiler variants. And I forget when that cover popped up online. But there's like that one felt like a really spoiler cover. It's an issue, or it's an image of Optimus Prime with explosion in the background, and it doesn't immediately read as the arm is exploding. But when you look at the cover, like that's what's happening. Like the arm is exploding, and in his gun you see the reflection of the Autobots. So when I first saw that image, I was like, okay, the arm is coming off, and it's the Autobots having like an intervention, like that the idea for the arm to come off was coming from them. And to have it play out this way, it played out differently than I was expecting. Because I kind of thought like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. Like if it was them saying like, listen, dude, we've been trying to tell you, you know, like for a bit now that there's something going on, and it was them kind of sitting him down and having that come from them. So, but that kind of speaks to when I was talking before about when you kind of theorize about what is going to happen, and then it plays out differently, you kind of have to let it like sit for a minute, and then accept it for what it is, and then kind of evaluate that. But that's what I had to do in this situation, because I was like, oh, it's actually Optimus who's coming up with the idea that needs to come off. So yeah, but I like it. I like how it played out. I don't think that I think that it's a better moment for it to be Optimus that says, you know, like, okay, this needs to happen. And when you were talking about the eyes, like that panel of his
the close up, it's like the fear. It's the fear and the pain, and he doesn't want to cause harm to his soldiers. He doesn't know what he's capable of. He knows that he was probably just about to murder one of them, one or both of them, before the arc disappeared, and he's at his like wit's end, and he's like I cannot ignore this anymore. It has to come off. But I love that whole page. I love that the panel of the I mean, obviously there's the Beachcomber appears. So that's a good reason to like this one. But the top right panel of that page where Spike is kind of coming down the slope, and the way that Jorge places that camera angle, I love it because it looks like Optimus is a threat and is dangerous there. Like he's kind of like the way he's looming over Spike. I like that, and it kind of speaks to what he's thinking. Like he feels like he's a threat, so he's like, Spike, get away. So there's just so much that Jorge conveys. So much emotion in what he does, in where he chooses to place the camera when it comes to the perspective of the panels, and then that shot of the eyes up close, like just, oh my god, like it's all right there. The emotions, and I love it.
Yeah, I think you hit on a lot of things I feel similarly about. If you had asked me before this issue had come out how I would have preferred for this to go down, I would have been like, oh yeah, I mean, I want Megatron to just beat Optimus down and rip it off of him. But seeing this, I think this is just so much better, and I think it is for a lot of the reasons that you touched on, Carl. It's just, the eyes, like the emotion there, and also, I have a greater appreciation for it now because of what Delta said about how, this is maybe just, Megatron just toying with him and just being cruel. But yeah, no, I feel like I prefer this now, like having experienced it. Like it wouldn't have been my go-to and like my first choice, but I prefer the way that this played out. I think it is better than what I had in my head. And yeah, I don't know. You'd think that Jazz would not hesitate as much as he does here, though, after he just had that thing. Like,
you're like, okay.
You pointed that at me for the last time.
Sure. Yeah. No. I'm fine. Let me be first to shoot it off, please.
Immediately on board with this plan.
I think you guys all just nailed it right on the head. And Moon, I think I'm in the same boat as you, because that's what I kind of thought too before going into this. And I'm not trying to contradict myself here, but like, would have I preferred a, one-on-one fight? I mean, not really now that you guys have talked about it, because this is just done here very beautifully. But yeah, before going into this, I thought, okay, it's going to be Megatron just beating up Optimus, and then Megatron's going to, drop the bomb that like, oh, it was me, Optimus, kind of like a reverse Flash moment. Like, it was me, Barry, doing all this. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but obviously this was done a lot better than what I thought for sure. So yeah, I think this was just a very, very good sequence. And we see with Optimus just ditching the arm, we see Superion arrive and just kind of pick up the Autobots as they go and, try and fly away. And we see Megatron just walking in all casually and say, "You are an incredible warrior, Prime. But deep down, I always knew there was weakness inside you." And this is why I said it's so hard to try and say which panel was the best this issue, because, man, the purple and black here is just so awesome. And you see Megatron just back at full strength, having his fusion cannon arm, and you look at the fear in Starscream's eyes. Like, you see the fusion cannon arm just like breaking outside the panel, and you just see Starscream just like, oh no, oh, here we go again.
He knows
Here we go. He knows what's coming, because he tells him, Starscream, take aim. And we see Superion trying to, get away, and just out of nowhere, just boom, just gets sniped. Just absolutely gets sniped. You see Superion's left arm get completely blasted. You see Slingshot get taken down, and you see Optimus get taken down as well. Rest in peace, Slingshot, because at least this is the way I read it here. And I want to ask you guys, Slingshot's already dead here. Like he's pretty much dead.
No,
Because
say that to me.
he's I think he's already dead here, like from the shot. And then what ends up happening, because we see Superion, pick up Optimus, and we see Optimus kind of crawling the Slingshot, and Wheeljack saying, "No, he's gone. We need to go." And that's when we see this infamous panel here of just Megatron picking up Slingshot's head, and you just see this sound effect just crunch as he grabs Slingshot's head and says, "Decepticons, prepare for conquest." It's just, oh man, it's every time I see this last page, it's so crazy. And again, I can see the critiques of people saying that, oh, this is just like overly edgy, Megatron picking up the head and, kind of crushing it. But I don't know, man. With how this Megatron is, I think it's fitting. I like, you see the one red eye as like his face is it's just black. It's just, it's so awesome. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Obviously, rest in peace, Slingshot, of course. Totally not the most forgettable aerial bot. Go ahead.
Megatron calling Optimus Prime weak. He must be reading the comments section in our videos. Obviously, Daniel Warren Johnson has been seeing our videos and being like, wow, people really hate this Optimus. This is good fuel for the fire. Megatron is terminally online on YouTube. Optimus Prime is weak and such a baby.
Yes, Delta Trion. I agree with this video.
Yes, Delta Trion.
He is a
who
naive
hates.
leader. I agree.
No, absolutely heartbreaking. I love. I don't know why I love the panel of Superion running. He's like jogging with everybody on him.
It's so cool.
Yeah, but then that panel up in the right corner when he's like, "What's that?" Your heart just sinks. Obviously, you can see the whole page.
Yeah.
But even if you could only see one panel at a time, I'm sure if you paused on that panel, you'd be like, I don't want to see what's next.
Yeah, stop.
I know.
I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Your
This is
hand,
it. That's the end of the comic. They run away and they live happily ever after. That's it. You just know it's coming. And the fact that it's, bald-headed Slingshot is just, it's rough. It's really rough in a good way.
Just to talk about, while we're talking about that, this page and this the panel of Superion running again, talking about what Jorge is capable of doing, the positioning of the arms, like that it's Superion running, and it's that kind of like slow run, but only slow because it's like zoomed out a little bit. Like it's him booking it, but he's so big and lumbering that it just kind of appears like you feel the weight of Superion in those moments, and that's really cool. Like you feel like how massive this character is, and then just the shot comes in and he's just kind of buckle, his knees fall on, he's taken to the ground, and it's just like I just love Jorge Corona's art. Like
It's
love
so
it.
good.
It's so good. Like everything he just does so well. Yeah. So, and I'm gonna call out a couple things because we've talked about like the coloring, and something we haven't talked about a lot of the sound effects. I love the KK-K grunch. Like it's what those two first K's imply is like the resistance of Slingshot's head coming off is the way I read that. It was like crunch, and then it's like him like pulling it, and then it just releases, and it's like, oh, that is
Why
so
are you
brutal.
torturing us, Carl?
I
Why
know,
are you making this worse?
I'm just saying, like, look, we don't call out the sound effects enough, and
We
like
don't.
they're part of
True.
the story. Like when you look at it, it's like, oh, that's so brutal. Because there was another sound that I really loved earlier in the issue when the arc disappears. It's like WHOMMMMMM, and you get this like sense of this resonating like whom, and then it disappears. Like you just get that like a vibrating sound of everything, just like all of this, the whole arc disappearing. And I just like that's great. Like when you actually stop to read the sounds that are being conveyed, just even better. So yeah, those are my two like call outs to the arc one is much less tragic than the head ripping off one, but
A crunch.
both impactful. So
This is maybe not what you wanted me to talk about, but as I'm flipping through these pages, I'm flabbergasted by the fusion cannon, Megatron's fusion cannon. It like if you like flip back, it just like it keeps changing. Like almost like every panel. Like, you know, by the time like Prime wants them to shoot it off him, it's like the barrel is like all segmented in like 4 different like segments. And then it like, yeah, I don't know if that's a deliberate thing or just an error. But
I see what you're saying, especially you mean like when he's trying to pull his arm off, it's segmented.
Yeah.
I think those segments are still there in that scene where his arm is on the ground and Superion is running away. I think it's just the angle that it's almost kind of harder to see. But you are correct that
they are
Megatron
there,
has
but yeah.
Yeah, when Megatron's putting it on his arm, I guess it's also because it's transform. Who knows?
Yeah, it's like, you know,
Completing
actually, with the rest of the toy gimmick, the silencer or whatever. I don't know.
You're right. Flipping through it, it's almost like when Megatron puts his arm on, the gun itself transforms into something different for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you look at like the when you go back to page I think 5, when you first see Megatron in this issue, and he transforms and he's going into Starscream's hand, like the barrel is like kind of truncated, so it almost is like, you know, because the fusion cannon, it becomes whole because Megatron has some of the parts needed to transform that that's fully transformed. So it's like its final form once it's back on Megatron.
Yeah, it's like full just, power.
Yeah, and it looks like so amazing,
chunky.
Yeah, I think Swizz, it was you. You said so the panel when the arm is like fully is attached and you get Starscream's reaction.
Yes.
I didn't think about this until you called out Starscream's face, but like the way that like how trapped do you feel that Starscream feels in this moment? Because when you look at it visually, he's like being encroached from the top panel, from the top of the panel and the bottom of the panel. It's 2 versions of the gun that are kind of encroaching on the panel of Starscream's face. So like it's a visual representation of the situation that Starscream is in. Like he is trapped by this his role.
Good catch.
That's amazing. Like it did not occur to me until we were, you know, when Swizz was talking about Starscream's reaction. I looked at it, I was like, oh man, like that's beautiful. Like that's really cool. So
I have to say, I half expected, just with the way that it kind of like reacted when, like it almost was like the arm independently pointed at Jazz earlier. Like after they shot it off, I kind of half expected it to like get up and start like walking on its fingertips, like Adam's Family or something, you know? I'm like,
you guys are just so cruel. Are you sure you guys aren't writing Skybound right now? I do love that right after Slingshot is shot off, and you see that panel of Starscream holding Megatron with the smoke coming out of the gun. Yeah, once again, it's such a testament to the art. You can't see his face. There's no dialogue, but you can just almost kind of feel what Starscream is feeling. You know, the gun's kind of just ever so slightly pointed down, and it feels sad for Starscream. Like he's just not. Really...
I don't feel bad.
Yeah, screw him.
Get a load of this guy. Yeah, it's obviously not like Starscream's like, no, I'm friends with the Autobots now. Of course not, but yeah. It just feels like he's like, man, I really do not want to. I do not want to do this.
Yeah, the action is not his own.
Mm-hmm.
He's being held
100%.
against his will.
As time has gone on in this series, I didn't realize, or it wasn't immediately clear to me that it was Starscream who is the one who is to wield Megatron. It was talked about, like, kind of, it was alluded to when they first when Megatron first drafted Starscream into the Decepticons, but like it didn't hit me then that it was that Starscream, that is his role. Like, Megatron needs Starscream to do this, and I think that's so powerful. Like, I love. It's a great way to you would think that it serves a story in the sense that normally you would think that Megatron would just get rid of Starscream. Like, why is this guy around? Like, he's gonna, like, try to weasel his way into power again at some point in time. But it gave a wonderful explanation as to why Starscream is still in the story, and I love it. It's just a brilliant way to do that.
They're compatible.
I love this panel as well of Superion flying away with the guys. It's very G1 to me. There's no rocket boosters or anything. It's just flying. He just lifts off into the sky. I love it. Just there he goes. And it makes sense. He can fly, but it reminds me of those G1 episodes where they're like, yeah, Optimus flies in this one. And you're like, okay, sure. Yeah, whatever.
Just like lift your arms and go.
Mm-hmm.
This is now the second time in this story where Optimus is just filled with regret and sadness as he's being, kind of carried away from what's happened. And we saw that last time in the finale of Volume 2 when Beachcomber came in and saved Optimus. And, you just kind of have Optimus like, what have I done? What have I done? And then we have it again here with Optimus just saying no. And then no again, as just flying away, as just the Decepticons are just getting stronger and stronger.
Well, of course he's upset. He spent $100 for that Combiner Wars slingshot. So hard to find. He didn't want to use Alpha Bravo. Come on.
Oh, I love that you brought up Alpha Bravo, because that's what I was going to talk about. So, my Blades agenda goes along with this. And I want to ask you that, I can't speak. I want to ask you guys before we give off the, our ratings and wrap this one up. Who is going to be the arm for Superion? Because I haven't seen no Alpha Bravo in this story. So, I don't know, man. Blade stocks are at an all-time low. You guys might want to, buy in, join the Blades Club.
Skywarp. They're going to use Skywarp for it.
I mean, I was going to say, what about Jetfire? I mean, he's already colored like an aerial bot. So,
okay.
And he has a toy coming out again. He has a re-release.
He's got a re-release coming out. Yeah.
Not that matters.
I always kind of thought, like, I mean, and maybe this is, and I guess it also doesn't matter in the sense that I always feel like Jetfire is like bigger, but like,
yeah,
I guess size doesn't matter. Like, they've shown that they kind of
mass shifting,
right? Yeah, so it's kind of like whatever. So they could do anything, but I mean that Jetfire is looking for a purpose, so that's another possibility.
That would be interesting if he just became an arm.
So here's my thing on that. Like, I mean, I think they could go like the Scramble City route, where it's, or if you want to go for something more contemporary, like the Combiner Wars, where you can just like mix and match whoever. I've always kind of liked the idea, and this is like some headcanon, where it's like you have a set of individuals who can combine, and then that's it, right? And like they're the only ones who can do it. So like, what if he just doesn't get a replacement arm? I mean, I kind of find that to be a little interesting personally, but I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Just in this story context and all the things that need to happen, I don't think Superion having a replacement arm is going to be addressed before, like, say, like issue 25. Like, if addressed at all, I don't think they're gonna. I don't think it's gonna be an immediate need
resolution.
Yeah. It'd be cool. I mean, but it plants a seed for a future story. But I just don't. I don't know that it's gonna fit in. I don't think it needs to fit into the story that's being told in this arc. But Blades is available.
Blades is available, but
Yeah,
I
I don't
mean,
see any other Protectobots. So what's he doing? He's
exactly. But yay, hey, call up hotspot, man. Like, where's the Fensor at? But on a real note, I do kind of like though, like the how Optimus loses an arm, and so also Superion loses his arm. I don't know. I think that's just cool. I like that little connection between those two because I mean we saw last issue like how the aerial bots look at Optimus and they kind of like really look at him as like a dad. So I don't know. I think that's just cool.
Now they can't hug anymore.
Well, they can,
Oh,
just not slingshot.
I mean, I don't think
Superion can't
Superion
get a
should
hug.
be.
Yeah.
I don't think Superion should be hugging anybody.
He needs a hug right now. Is what he needs.
Yeah, there you go.
Swizz, before we get off of the topic of who could be the new arm, did you read the letter section?
Oh, I did not.
I've got bad news for you. Somebody asks in the letter section if Defensor will be showing up soon since Blades appeared.
Oh no.
And Daniel
no.
Warren Johnson said no plans to include him, simply because we already have so many combiners. I'm sorry. I think Swizz needs the hug now.
What?
Yeah.
No, bro. Bro,
Swizz, Daniel Warren Johnson, enemy number one.
This guy's got to go.
Man,
I always knew Daniel Warren Johnson was no
You
good.
can even the battlefield have 4 combiners. Come on. Oh man,
5 stages of grief.
it's all right. It's all right. Blades agenda will still happen, guys.
Eventually,
Hang on.
he's gonna show up.
Blades is gonna be part of the aerial bots. Watch, they're gonna welcome in open arms. Take that, Defensor.
You mean open arm?
Open arm.
One last thing about this whole like final page that I just noticed. Kind of kicking myself for not noticing it before, but we see like as right before Megatron rips off Slingshot's head, we see his shadow over him, and I love how this series is using like his very distinctive silhouette as like this menacing shadow that is cast over the Autobots.
Yeah, we've seen it like multiple times, like even on like end pages, like that's like it's still coming. Like it's still the confrontation that we are expecting has still not arrived, even though it's like in motion. But yeah, that's a good catch.
It's even on. It's on the main cover for last issue too, isn't it? With the shadows over Starscream, I think.
Yeah. That's just the continually looming threat of Megatron.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about rating because I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts and ratings on this issue because, like I kind of talked about before, I can see the critiques of how someone could say like, "Oh, this issue isn't that good compared to last issue because so much was going on," but I still really liked it. It's kind of up there in the top 5 for me, just because like we see Superion, we see Megatron, we see Optimus. It checks a lot for me. So I'm just gonna say for me personally, I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10. I really liked it.
I also really liked it. But I think that when I compare it to the highlights of this series for me, I think that it doesn't hit as many of the highs as those other issues did for me. Which again is not to say that I think it's bad. I actually think that this issue, this is kind of what I expect from this series on a month-to-month basis. And like the standard that it usually hits, I feel like is this, with a couple of exceptions where it either exceeds that or, is maybe not quite as good. So it's definitely solid, but for me, I think I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, just because, really enjoyed it, but it just it didn't have the same punch as some of the issues that have really blown me away in the past.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that because that's right about where I was at too. Like I was thinking like when I first read it, I was probably like I honestly when I first read it, I was more disappointed in it than I was excited about it, and not in a bad way. It's just the big moments that happen in the issue with the arm coming off. I don't know. It's such an unfair like critique to say. Just because we knew that moment was coming, it didn't hit with such a surprising way that some of the other moments did, and that's unfair because it just was kind of telegraphed that was something that needed to happen. Still done really well. It's still surprising in the sense that it wasn't exactly the way that I thought it would occur. But I agree. I feel like as a whole, it doesn't. You look at when you compare it to the easiest thing to compare it to is the thing we just read in issue 20. And that one just like fired on all cylinders for me. It checked all like the emotional beats. It had the quiet moments with Spike and Optimus, and it had the emotional part, the action part. So all of it was like kind of perfect. Whereas this is really good, and also always fall into the apologizing for not giving it like the highest ratings, and I should never do that. It's a reminder that we all love this series, and if we give it I'll give it an 8. Same thing. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but yeah, like it's great. It's just when compared to some of the high points of the series, it is just a couple notches lower. So that's why we're going to land on 8.
I'm also going to give this an 8. Not because I think, and this is agreeing with all of you guys, not because I think it's in any way lesser than what we've previously gotten. But to me, a lot of this comic is really, I don't see each individual comic necessarily as an individual piece. I think there's a lot of comics that are like that. They're kind of self-contained, each issue, even though they all link together and it's one story. But Transformers, it feels like it has been written, and we've said this a lot, to be read in kind of one succession, at least in volumes. And this is what this issue feels like to me. And it's because of that I think that something like issue 20 is such a standout that I feel like that's an issue that almost breaks the mold of standing out as a single standalone issue. And so I'm giving it an 8, not because, again, I think it's not as good because it has issues or it's lesser than anything else. I'm giving it an 8 because it's once again, it's at that bar of excellence, and it's keeping things moving. I think we've had issues like this before that like we've said before, they feel quick, they feel fast, like it's over quick, but that's because we got to get things in place for Daniel Warren Johnson's finale.
I think that's very well said for all of you guys. I think that's fair. And again, 8s are really good. So to anyone's like, oh, only an 8, that's still really good. That's a very high score. So I think that's very, very fair with this. And I don't know how next issue is going to be. I think next issue is probably going to be a little bit slower as we pick back up, because kind of just how like Warren Johnson is with these volumes. I feel like the second to last issue is probably usually the fastest paced, because they kind of want to just wrap everything up for the finale. So it is interesting here that we get a faster paced issue here. This is issue 3, right, of the volume. So we're like halfway through volume 4. Is that correct?
Yeah.
It was 1920. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I really like this issue, and I think it was fast, and I think it was just go, but I don't think that's bad. And just like with what you guys said. So I think you guys all have very fair points with your ratings. I can't wait to see Blades attached to Superion next issue.
Not gonna happen.
First page.
First page. So, well, I think that's a great way to wrap this one up. This issue was really fast paced, but I really do think It was a good issue overall. I appreciate you fine gentlemen joining me today for this episode. And be sure to check out all of our socials down below as we all talk about the Energon universe on our channels. But make sure you guys leave a like on your way out. And please give us your thoughts on this issue in the comments down below. Moon, Carl, Delta, great talking to you guys as always. And looking forward to talking about issue 22. Take care, everyone.